Years passed like dust devils swirling across the endless Arizona plains after that fateful and bloody dawn in Devil's Canyon, where Elias, Ghost, Thorne had etched his legend deeper into the red rock with the blood of Silas Harlan's gang. The small ranch nestled against the dry arroyo had blossomed into a true home under the careful hands of Thorne and Nayland. The adobe house had grown with sturdy additions, a wider porch for evening sittings, extra rooms for the family that had come, and a barn painted red against the relentless sun. Cattle roamed fat and plentiful on the greening grasses after good rains, and a herd of wild mustangs, tamed just enough to be loyal, galloped across the open ranges. Life here was the rare peace that men like Thorne and women like Nayland had only dreamed of in their harder days. Nayland, now in her 30s, had lost none of her fierce beauty. Her long braids still held eagle feathers, her eyes still burned with the spirit of the Chiricahua, and her hands were as steady with a rifle as ever. Thorne, his hair touched with silver at the temples, moved with the same lethal grace, his ice blue eyes missing nothing, his twin colts cleaned daily even in tranquility. Their children brought light to the shadows of their past. Cale, the boy of 10, tall for his age with his father's sharp features and his mother's dark hair braided tight, already handling a small .22 rifle with deadly accuracy and tracking game like a born Apache scout, and little Lyra, 8 years old, with a laugh like running water, who could loose an arrow truer than most men and knew every healing herb in the desert. Thorne taught them the way of the gun, quick draw, steady aim, respect for the power. Nayland taught the old ways, reading the wind, speaking to the spirits, surviving on will alone. Apache kin visited often, and even gringo neighbors from Tombstone tipped hats in respect. The ranch was untouchable, a sanctuary whispered about in saloons as the place where the Ghost and his Apache queen ruled in peace. But in the Wild West of 1892, peace was always a fragile thing, borrowed from the storm that forever brewed on the horizon. The storm arrived on a blistering autumn day when the air shimmered with heat and the cicadas sang their endless song. Thorne was out in the corral, working a young stallion with gentle reins and firm commands, his shirt sweat-soaked against his scarred back, when a lone rider appeared far out on the trail. A gaunt figure on a lathered horse, pushing hard as if chased by demons. Nayland, mending a fence nearby with Cale's help, spotted him first and straightened, her hand instinctively near the Winchester leaning against a post. Lyra played nearby, practicing arrows on a straw target. The rider reached the gate and nearly tumbled from the saddle, a dusty deputy badge glinting weakly on his torn vest. "Water, please," he gasped, face burned red by the sun. Nayland nodded to Cale, who fetched a canteen quick. Thorne vaulted the corral fence in one fluid motion, striding over with that silent menace that made men step aside. "State your name and business, deputy," Thorne said, voice low and even. The man, Willis from Bisbee, gulped the water gratefully before spilling his tale. A new outlaw gang, the Red Scarves, had risen like a plague on the borderlands. Led by Rafe, El Cuervo, Valdez, a half-Mexican killer with a raven wing scar slashing his face, they raided mines for gold, stages for cash, ranches for stock, and worse, Apache villages and isolated homes for women and children to sell south into slavery. "They're vicious, Mr. Thorne," Willis panted, "hit a ranch near the Dragoons last week, killed the folks, took their teenage daughter. But they carved a message on the door, for the Ghost and his squaw. Valdez says, Harlan was kin, cousin by blood. Wants your hide for revenge. Territorial marshals offering 5,000 alive, 10 dead. Needs a man like you, Ghost Thorne, to hunt him down." The name Harlan struck like a bullet from the past. Thorne's face remained impassive stone, but Nayland saw the cold fire ignite in his blue eyes, the old killer stirring awake beneath the rancher's calm. She stepped close, touching his arm. "No, Elias, we have the children now. A family. Let the law ride this time." Thorne looked at her, love and regret mixing in his gaze. That night, after the deputy bedded down in the barn and the kids slept, they sat by the fire in the adobe house, arguing in low voices that carried the weight of their shared history. Thorne recounted the Harlan tale fully to Nayland again, the kidnapping, the canyon reckoning, the vow that some wrongs echo forever. "Valdez is drawing us out," he said quietly. "If I don't go to him, he'll come here. For you, for Cale and Lyra." Nayland's jaw set firm, her warrior blood rising. "Then we face him together, like always." But Thorne shook his head slow. "Not with the young ones here. You stay strong, guard the fence, the home. I'll ride south, end it quick and clean. By the full moon, I'll be back." Their argument stretched into the deep night, fierce words tempered by deep love, ending in a tight embrace that said what words couldn't. At dawn, Thorne saddled Shadow, a powerful black Mustang descended from his old mount, full of fire and speed. He checked his Colts, loaded a Henry rifle, tied on bedroll and ammunition. He kissed Nayland long and hard under the rising sun, hugged Cale tight with a whispered, "Protect your mother and sister," and lifted Lyra high, her small arms around his neck. "Be safe, Papa," she said. He nodded, mounted, and rode south without looking back, vanishing into the heat waves like the ghost he was named for. News travels swift on border winds, carried by scouts, traitors, and fearful tongues. Valdez knew the ghost was coming long before Thorne crossed into the Badlands. The Red Scarves, 20 ruthless men, a mix of desperados from Texas, Mexico, and the territories, had fortified in the jagged Dragoon Mountains, a labyrinth of peaks, hidden springs, and narrow passes perfect for ambushes. Valdez was a cunning devil, tall and lean, black eyes gleaming with hate, his fast draw legendary from revolutionary fights below the border. He despised gringos for old wrongs, but reserved special venom for Thorne, the man who killed his cousin Harlan and stole the fear that Valdez craved. Around mesquite campfires at night, he boasted